Hi there, we are here today to do Lesson 8, Module 5. More fractions, more equivalent fractions. So the shaded fractions have been decomposed into smaller units. Express the equivalent fractions in a number sentence using multiplication. So on this first one here, we started with 2/3, and then they broke it apart. And that doubled the number of pieces, so we multiplied by 2/2, and our equivalent fraction is 4/6. So the next one, I wrote down the fraction, it is 3/4 right now. We are going to break that into more pieces. So it looks like we tripled the number of pieces this time. So I'm going to multiply this by 3/3, and I should end up with 9/12, which should match the pieces. I do see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 shaded out of 10, 11, 12 total. So let's move to C. We start with 4/5. They drew a line down the middle, which doubled the number of pieces. So if we multiply by 2/2, we would get 8/10, which should match the picture. 5/6 is letter D. We're breaking it down the middle, which is doubling the number of pieces again. So 2/2, which equals 10/12. And of course, you remember that the reason this works is that whether it's 3/3 or 2/2 or anything over anything, as long as we have the same number in the numerator and denominator, that is equivalent to 1. I mean, when you multiply anything times 1, it doesn't change. It's still the same number. 5 times 1 is still 5. So 3/4 times 1 is still 3/4. We just have an equivalent fraction. Just more pieces, but the same amount. 2 says decompose the shaded fractions into smaller units, as given below. Express the equivalent fractions as a number sentence using multiplication. So the first one here is 3/5. I already labeled it. We're going to decompose it into tenths. So 10 is twice as many pieces as fifths, so I'm just going to draw a line down the middle. We're going to multiply by 2/2, which should get us to 6/10, and that matches our picture. The next one here is 3/5, and we have to make it be 15ths. Well, I know that 15 is 3 times 5, so I need to have 3 times as many pieces, so I'm going to break this into 3 rows. 3/3 equals 9/15, and I can always go back and count the pieces, and they should match up. 9 shaded and 15 total. 3, draw area models that prove the following number sentences are true. So it started with 2/5, so I already drew my rectangle with 2/5. I've got it shaded. I need to make it 4/10. Tenths is twice as many pieces, so I will again just draw a line. This is actually all you have to do for this. I'm going to go ahead and write the multiplication sentence. 2/5 times 2/2 equals 4/10. All right, 2/3, I already drew the picture. I need to make it be 8/12. This is 4 times as many pieces, so I'm going to make it into 4 rows across. Now I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shaded, just like it says I should. 9, 10, 11, 12 total pieces. Multiplication sentence. 2/3 times 4/4 equals 8/12. We are just continuing. This is still number 3. We just have C and D still to do. So 3/6 right here, I already drew it. I have to make it be 6/12. 12 would be twice as many pieces as 6th. 3/6 times 2 over 2 equals 6, 12ths. And 4/6 equals 8/12ths. Again, it looks like we are just doubling the number of pieces. 4/6 times 2 over 2 equals 8/12ths, which matches the picture. Okay, number 4 says use multiplication to find an equivalent fraction for each fraction below, which means you can find any equivalent fraction. So the things I do here might not match yours, but as long as you multiplied by 1, remember a fraction that has the same thing in the numerator as it does in the denominator is 1. As long as you have that, you will have an equivalent fraction. So maybe you did 2 over 2, but you could have done, let's say 5 over 5. Or maybe you did 10 over 10. So any way you do it, as long as you've got the same thing in the numerator and the denominator, you will have an equivalent fraction, which means 3/4 is equivalent to 6/8, which is equivalent to 15/20, 30/40. These are all equivalent. If we drew these out, they would take up the same amount of the rectangle. So 4/5, let's see, I'm going to do 100 over 100. Not that you have to, anything you want, as long as these two are the same. And your multiplication turns out right. 400 5/100 is equivalent. Let's see, what if I did 4/5 times 8 over 8? That would give me 32/40, still equivalent. Kind of weird to think that 400 5/100 is equivalent to 32/40. 7/6. Let's go back to 2 over 2. 14/12. And 12/7. I'm going to do 3 over 3 this time. That would be 36 over 21. Equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions are easy to find as long as you have the same number in the numerator and denominator. If you remember that, a lot of your math from here on out will make more sense. Okay, thanks for watching.